And welcome to bexbugoutsurvivor. A quick heads up what's going on tonight's episode. This is the spot where usually the tailoring series would go, and it's going to be replaced by a pack comparisons where we'll be comparing two packs with similarities, whether that's weight, cost, literage, and we'll be doing this every month. But I will try and fit in some tailoring videos in between that slot also. Without any further ado, let's carry on with tonight's episode, which are packed with similarities. So you're thinking of doing some wild camping and you like surplus, so let's compare some surplus packs that might be good for the job. This one is everyone's favourite. It's the British PLCE, Personal Load Carry Equipment. This is the long back, it's in MTP. Without the side rocket pockets, it's about 3.5 kilos. You've got to consider that before you even put a toothbrush in. Is that the kind of weight you want to put your wild camping kit into without a toothbrush? What I have on here is the BERHAUS Crusader 90, and I can add on two 10-litre rocket pockets, bringing that up to 110. This is 2.3 kilos empty. Is it any more comfortable though? And what is its durability like if you'd prefer the PLCE? But we're going to have a look at both anyway. Not a cloud in the sky, but it is damn cold. So a quick recap. This is the MTP longback. I think it's 2015, and I have the side pockets on rather than the side rockets. That'll make it easier for camping. This one here is the BERHAUS 90. I could have put on the two 10-litre rocket pockets onto this. Where it can be helped, I always put food and a cook set on the outside. I wanted somewhere to put my camp stove. I wanted somewhere to put maybe 1 or 2 nights food. The only components I'm putting in and on the pack are camping related, minus clothes, food and water, which do not amount to the base weight. A base weight of a pack are the camp related items only when it's referred to base weight. So if I put my clothing in here, it wouldn't be the same as yours. With the MTP pack, I would need a rethink where I put things. How much you put in for food, how much extra you put in for your clothing is all based on trip duration. A foam pad, that's your first item. Because it has a volume to it, a mass, but very little weight, I can afford that to go on the outside, and I do have a waterproof sack for this, which isn't being displayed on this video. Under the main lid is a 2-person tent that has the pegs, the poles, the inner, the outer. It's a Vango, it's not a trekking tent, it's a hiking tent. The silver reflector, absolute lifesaver the past maybe couple of decades I've been using them. This is double-sided air bubble, and it's actually a reflector from a car windscreen. Why double-sided like that? One side will prevent the cold coming up from the ground, the other side reflects body heat back towards the pad. for sleeping bag, I have a double bag system. That's 2 sleeping bags, because at the time of filming, we're just coming out of winter into spring at the time of filming, and all winter it has been bloody cold, I can tell you that, and I'm a cold sleeper, so even in an Arctic sleeping bag I won't always take that temperature rating, I'll add to it. But it takes up about 50% of the pack, and that sounds about right for me. A little extra air mat as well. I really do appreciate a good insulated pad. If I wanted to go down the road of trekking related kit, I would do the same thing but with lightweight kit. Maybe a lighter foam pad, certainly a lighter smaller tent, certainly a lighter air pad. So now I'm going to put the same components in the British MTP longback. I always start with the sleeping bag, and sure, if you want to use a compression bag, go for it. I have a fine little point. If you want to use a dry sack, a canoeing dry sack, sometimes I'd like to do that, but for demonstration purposes today, a normal dry sack. I've compressed a double bag system here to about halfway up the pack, which is 2/3 the way up at the usable space, because the snow collar isn't always a usable space. I've measured the snow collar on this pack at 25 litres, and it's meant to be 100 litre capacity, so let's take 25 off 100, 75. It has 75 litres of usable space without using the snow collar. I would need this floating lid arrangement here to use the snow collar and get the most out of my 100 litres. It's only 100 litres with this snow collar. I'm going to see if I can put the air pad, which is full length. It's one of the biggest, heaviest air pads I have. If you want to look at lightweight stuff, I have that on the channel too, but let's bulk out this Bergen. Let's slot that in down the side here. The reflective, that can go in. It's an inefficient use of space, this pack. It's probably why it's not one of my favourites. Let me see. I can get the tent here underneath the floating lid. Now I've tightened my floating lid right up. It will float though, believe me. Let's put that onto there. And that onto there. Same kit now. It only remains for me to put the camp kit stove in. Well, we are talking from a perspective now of comfort. Okay, it's not too bad. Fitted correctly, riding above your iliac crest and under your rib cage, how Bergen should be. And it's how I carried the BERHAUS as well, by the way. I don't have it around my hips. It carries all right. It just feels so rigid. I wouldn't want to walk a long distance trek with it, even though there's hardly any weight in it. From a perspective of comfort, it's BERHAUS all the way for me. That's a vintage BERHAUS, that's the Mark 1. I don't know what the Mark 2 is, what the Mark 3 is. I couldn't tell you what the Vulcan is like, or the Rock. But the Crusader there, Mark 1, is phenomenal for comfort. It really is. It doesn't feel like I have any weight in the pack at all with this. With this, same kit, different pack. I can feel an immediate difference. I can feel it on the lower back, the shoulder straps here. I probably could loosen a bit. It's doable, it's doable. If you find one of these second hand, you could certainly strip it right back and use it for camping. Whether you had a choice and you had BERHAUS on this side and the PLCE on this side, I'd go for the BERHAUS every time. Okay, the cook set. I like my cook set on the outside of the pack. You can put whatever cook set you want into yours. That goes without saying, and I'll do the same. I'll put whatever cook set I desire into mine. I've chosen for this pack, just because it fits the pouch nicely, the Minimo. A very large pot. It also contains the fuel, the stove, the cook pot. And I'm going to transfer it into the Omni pouch of the PLCE. And cleaning rag. It's stuck on the Velcro. Velcro that over. I think because I make videos and it does feature the PLCE Bergen, people are misconstrued to believe I'm some sort of fanboy of it. I'm not. I think it's strong, I think it's durable, I think it'll get the job done if you want to transport heavy kit like our military does here in the UK. But we are talking from a perspective of transposing everything over to a camping related environment, and yet you want some durability, you want it to last. You can have that with the BERHAUS. You can have comfort, support, durability, plenty of room for all your kit. It's a personal preference. To me, it's the BERHAUS, not the PLCE. But now it's time to put everything back to the pack I'd prefer, which is obviously the BERHAUS. The only thing I have in my packs really is the sleeping bag and the pad. So out with a double bag system for winter. Hopefully I can strip one of the bags out of this now. It's warming up a bit. It's cold last night though. I'm going to get my mat, air mat, fold it into quarters, drop it down inside, and then the sleeping bag on top of that. And like I said, I don't use compression inside a pack. I will use a compression bag if I was to sit the sleeping bag externally. Plenty of room for the tent, plenty of room for my clothing. I have so much auxiliary room with the BERHAUS that the actual strap itself surpasses the actual bottle under its own load. And we spoke about it before. All you do is loosen it, bring it in through the ski pole or ice axe housing, loosen it all off. Now I've got extra leverage here. That's a hell of a lot more room. And then this little gadget here is just 6mm bungee threaded through the bottoms up to the top and into a toddle like that, so when not in use it looks like that, and it's good enough for a foam pad. I do carry both on a wild camp, foam and an air insulator. If you'd rather just have one or the other, obviously that's your choice. And it just remains for me to put my cook pot in here. Speaking of cook pots, forgot I had my flask. Oh, God, I make a good coffee. Have a little coffee spoon just for camping, an infuser. It's on the channel. Put your coffee grounds in, give it a stir. And when I did that video, everyone said, why don't you just get coffee bags? If I did that, the episode would be called Just Buy Coffee Bags, and you wouldn't get to see the infuser spoon that I like to use. Great in a pot like that, the Minimo. The flash version I have, it's taller, not as wide. I have a Java press, and that makes fantastic coffee. If you're a tea bag or tea leaves kind of guy, then I think you'll get away with a smaller pot. But this is Pat 80 utility pouch, and I've hand sewn it onto the side. A little cleaning cloth, stop things rattling about, and that is as technical as that needs to go there. I think the conclusion is going to be obvious to you. Remember, we are talking about using ex-surplus kit and then nominating it to do a task for camping, wild camping, a night's fishing, you're out stargazing, you want a sleeping bag and a shelter, that kind of thing. So we're not talking about making it a bug out bag, we're not talking about a survival pack. It's for the hobbyist. Something like the PLCE is rugged, it's tough. These can be dropped from a transporter off the back. This is quite rugged as well. It's not sure what fabric it is. I know the PLCE use a Kajura 1000 with 600 denier. For the kind of things coming up here and finding somewhere for a tent or a hammock, it's too much. That it adds 1.5 kilos extra onto your back that you don't need. If you think you need 1000 Kajura to carry a tent, that is on you. That is on you. And like I said, there's a big fan club, a fan base of PLCE Bergens. And there's the same with Trangia little stoves. I bought one of them on the strength of there being a fan club, and I got it and I thought it doesn't do anything more than my little homemade penny stove. But I haven't had the BERHAUS long, maybe a year, but it has been my go-to every single time. What have I used more, the BERHAUS or the Bergen? It's been this one here. That's the BERHAUS Crusader 90 litres. I can add 2 10-litre rocket pockets on, or you can sew on a couple of small utilities. I think my preference there is quite obvious, isn't it? I'm absolutely in love with the BERHAUS. It knocks the pants off the PLCE regarding its comfort. It's easy to carry, easy to load. I'm not going to be using it with webbing or anything like that. It is just kind of like a long back ruck, and I prefer that. Okay, there's going to be other comparison videos coming up, and we'll compare different packs, and I think next time we're going to have a look at BERHAUS versus the PLCE. Which would you choose? We're going to have a look at that coming up soon. Happy trails.